Hey guys, it's Andrew Malkoski with the Denver 100 here, and I'm hanging out with my friend Jacob Lamb with Ion Solar, and we're here to talk a little bit about why solar, right? So this is a
Yep.
big thing going on, renewable energy. Why should people consider switching over to solar right now?
So it's really about the big picture, right? As a state, we have a renewable energy mandate to be 100% by 2040. And
Okay,
that's a pretty big effort, right? It's going to take a lot of things to get to that point.
right,
And a huge reason of why that is just the electrification of everything, right? You think about EVs, you think about AI data centers, you think about people doing tankless water heaters, things like that.
okay,
It's a lot of stress on the grid, right? And they need more localized power sources. So they came out with this in 2019. And when they came out with this, they approved $12 billion, they being the Public Utility Commission, for Xcel to spend on this mandate.
interesting.
Yep, since 2019, Xcel's summer on peak prices have gone up over 80%. And basically, what that is all of the costs that they're incurring by making this transition, they pass down to consumers, right?
Right,
Xcel isn't a company that loses money
right.
at the end of the day. And this is happening even on a utility scale. Are you familiar with the Comanche 3 coal plant at all?
No,
No, no worries. So the Comanche 3 coal plant is the biggest coal-fired plant in Colorado and also the biggest producer of greenhouse emissions. They put it in place in 2010, cost over $1 billion to build, with the expectation of it being in commission till 2070. Renewable energy mandate comes out 9 years later. Now it's getting shut down in 2031.
really.
Yes, 40 years early. And all of the losses, and that will be the end of coal-fired power in Colorado. So at that point, all of the costs that they had with that, plus the 12 billion I mentioned before, they pass that down to consumers, right? And what that also means is whether it is coming from Xcel or it is coming from your roof, more and more of the power that you get every day and more of the power you receive and pay for is going to come from a renewable source, right? It's
Right.
going to come from solar. So if it's going to be that either way, whether you agree with it or not, you might as well cut out the middleman, right? And pay a lower rate, put an end date on a bill you're currently scheduled to pay forever, increase the value of your home a little bit, and take advantage of a federal tax credit that might not be around forever.
So, and I think that that's one of the points that people don't really think about when, if they haven't already considered solar, right? Is
Yeah.
that, I mean, the cost of the electricity that you are getting from Excel is going up literally every single year.
Yeah.
But when you buy solar,
Mm-hmm.
finance solar, whatever it is, you have a locked payment. This is what it's going to be
Yep.
every single month. So, in 10, 15 years, you might still be paying that solar bill,
Yep.
right? But the electricity bill that you would have been paying will have gone up several times
Yeah.
over that amount of time.
Exactly.
And I don't think people think about that part of it so
Mm-hmm.
much. They look at an upfront cost.
Yep.
But the other thing you mentioned too is the tax credit. So
Yep.
currently there are still federal tax credits
Yep.
for going solar.
Yep.
Okay, but we don't know how long that's going to last.
We don't. And right now it's guaranteed. It's 30% of your system value. So yeah, almost a third of the system is covered by the federal government. That is in place currently till 2032, but it was put in place by the previous administration.
Right.
So it is a little bit up in the air. Next year, it's not guaranteed. So if you want to make sure that you get the most of it and get the best deal for it, this is something that you want to pursue this year.
Interesting. Um, And do you see that people, consumers are generally very excited about this, or is some of these people kind of coming kicking and screaming, as it were?
Yeah.
What do you see there?
I see that people are really excited. I always think the hardest part of my job is just kind of getting around the misconceptions and preconceived notions that people have about solar. You mentioned like big upfront cost. There is no upfront cost anymore.
Right.
Over 60% of the people that look at a design with Ion Solar do move forward with our program.
Wow.
So the people that actually look at it and understand it and let us explain it truly do see the value in it because, like you said, it locks in the price of your electricity.
Right.
And it's kind of like almost like a mortgage for your electricity, right? Where
Right.
if you're renting an apartment, you have an increase every year.
Yeah.
Right? Where if you have a mortgage, your payment's the same.
Yeah.
And 15 years from now, it's still going to be the same.
That's a great way to put that.
So it's just basically a way to make you not have a liability anymore and for you to now have an asset.
So when people are considering putting solar on their roof, what are some of the things? I mean, obviously, you're biased as you should be for Ion, right? But what are some of the things that you think that they need to be asking and getting answers from their solar company?
Yeah, and there are a lot of things that they need to ask. Solar is an industry that's blown up really quickly, and anytime you have an industry like that, there's also a lot of companies that fall off pretty quickly. Right. So across the country, over 150 companies have filed bankruptcy since 2023 in the solar space.
Wow.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. It's a pretty saturated market. It is really capital intensive. There is a pretty significant cash gap from an operations standpoint. So you want to make sure that the company you're working with has been in business for like at least 10 years. You want to make sure they're vertically integrated as well. So what I mean by that is that they do every step of the process. Most companies do not operate that way. Most companies only sell the project and then outsource everything else. Yeah. And things can really fall through the cracks. Not a lot of accountability on the back end. So Ion does do everything in-house. You want to make sure also that they have done a lot of work in your area. So a big thing in the industry is running what's called the Blitz model. And basically what that means is the company will send a team of sales reps to a neighborhood, to a market, put them up in a hotel for a month, have them work 12 hours a day, and then they go to the next market. And they can have a low price, they can look really appealing, but those companies typically have a really bad service record and they haven't done work locally, right? Whereas with Ion, we've done over 20,000 installs in Colorado. Right. So we're a huge company. We've done a lot of work in the area. And you just want to make sure they're using good equipment too. Over 90% of the panels manufactured are made in China or overseas. We use a company called Silfab Solar. They're actually the largest manufacturer in North America and the only company that makes 100% US made panel.
Interesting.
So it's a really, really cool partnership that we have with them, and it's a higher quality panel by a good margin, and just a better domestic product overall. So I would say those are the big things that you want to make sure of. Otherwise, if they're not checking all those boxes, you definitely want to do a little more digging.
And I've told you this over and over and over again when we get to hang out, but man, I wish that I had met you before I had that project done myself, because all the things that you're talking about, I'm like, oh yeah, I had a less than stellar experience with mine, and I so greatly wish that I had gotten to work with you on that, because everything you're talking about, I'm going, that'd have been better.
Yep, absolutely.
I can't tell you guys how highly I would recommend that you talk with Jacob if you are interested in getting solar put on your roof, or you know anybody that is having that conversation. This is a great place to start. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.